Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. The truth about Obamacare and the entitlement culture. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. The Congressional Budget Office is the federal agency that keeps track of taxpayer money. As everybody knows, the Obamacare law will require the taxpayers to fund insurance payments to Americans who don't have very much money. In a recent report, the CBO clearly said that those receiving free health care will have less incentive to work because their health needs will be assured. So, if they are in a job they don't like, they don't have to keep the job and can live off entitlements and or the underground economy. That report hurts the Democratic Party, which champions Obamacare and other entitlements. So, here's the Democratic spin.
What CBO said is that many American workers would have freedom. Now, that's a good word, freedom to do things that they couldn't do. The single mom who's raising 3 kids has to keep a job because of health care, can now spend some time raising those kids. That's a family value.
We want people to have the freedom to be a writer, to be a photographer, to make music, to paint. People would no longer be job locked by their policy, but have the freedom to follow their passion.
The problem is that you and I, working Americans, will have to pay for that passion. So the simple question becomes, is that fair? Talking Points has no problem paying for safety net entitlements, and as you may know, we give away millions of dollars to the poor. But now I'm being asked to pay for somebody's passion by supporting their health insurance. Nancy Pelosi might like to know that at one time I painted houses, and it was hard, hot work in the summer. I did it because I needed money for college. I was passionate about college because I played football and I was on the newspaper. But no one paid me for that passion. I painted. I paid. Somehow the Democratic Party in America has lost that message because its vision is now one of supporting people rather than providing opportunities for folks to support themselves in the marketplace. It's clear what Senator Schumer and Congresswoman Pelosi are saying, that Obamacare will free people from low-wage jobs so they can do other things. But other things might not include getting better jobs, because if they got those, their Obamacare subsidies go away. Are we all getting this? Finally, the CBO report does have some good news for President Obama and the Democrats. It says that health insurance costs will probably decline about 15% from the original forecast. Does that override all the other stuff? You make the call. And that's a memo. Now for the top story tonight. President Obama has changed another part of the Affordable Health Care law, allowing some companies to delay buying mandatory health insurance for their employees till 2016. The President did this without consulting Congress, which passed the law in the first place. That has angered many, including Charles Krauthammer, who joins us now from Washington. So last night you said this was a banana republic reaction. Isn't that a bit harsh?
Oh, I think it's an understatement. At least in banana republics, the Cadillo dictates with class. He gets out there on the presidential balcony with Evita at his side. He spreads out trinkets for the crowd, and he makes his announcements. Here it's done in the Federal Register. And what we're getting is the same thing. This is the 27th time that Obama has unilaterally amended a law that has already passed Congress. You're not allowed to do that.
Well, let me stop you there. The Obama administration says, quote, the Supreme Court held more than 25 years ago that agencies charged with administering statutes have inherent authority to exercise discretion to ensure that their statutes are enforced in a manner that achieves statutory goals and are consistent with other administrative policies. So they're saying that basically if you can make the law better, and it's better for the folks, you can do the little delays and the little shifts. That's what the Obama administration says.
So let's look at what they did. They delayed for the second time the employer mandate. Now, how are you going to pretend that that's a way to better implement the law? That's a way to not implement the law.
And I agree with that.
And so it is a contradiction of the supposed excuse for why it's allowed. This is not an adjustment. This is not a sort of a gradual entering into this thing. This is not a way to improve the employer mandate. This is a way to negate the employment mandate.
And I agree with that as
well. And look, I don't like it either, but they shouldn't have written it into the law.
There's two
and
things
if they
in
want
play.
to change it, you simply delete it and you amend the law. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Okay, there are two things in play. Number one, I think they have the legal authority to do this, and that contradicts a lot of Republicans and conservatives who say they don't.
On what basis?
On the basis of the Supreme Court would allow a tweaking. However, there's another.
This is not a tweaking.
Well, they're going to argue
it is. This is a suspension of a provision in the law because it's going to hurt employment.
Okay,
that's not going to change next year or the year after.
Let me get my second point out because it's more in line with what you're thinking. I disagree with you. I think the Supreme Court would uphold this, all right, based upon what's happened in the past. And you know what the court is. The court said it was constitutional when clearly I believe it was not. I believe the Supreme Court made a big mistake on the constitutionality ruling of Obamacare. But that is that. However, here's where it gets complicated. There's no doubt that this is being done for political reasons, that the Democratic Party has taken water, and so is the president, because this isn't working, as you just rightly pointed out. It's not working. So they're not doing it for the good of the folks. They're doing it for the political gain of the Democratic Party. That's where you can get them.
And that, of course, is the second argument to undermine this excuse that somehow it's a way to better implement the law. The only reason they're doing it is because it's going to hurt employment. They know that. And again, that won't change in a year or two. So the postponement is in no way making it easier. It's simply denying that this is going to happen until a year or two. But at the same time, as you say, the motive for this is because it's going to hurt employment and because it will have small businesses letting people go or reducing their hours so they reduce the number of full-time workers and thus get under the 50-worker limit, at which point there is no employer mandate. Because of that, people are going to lose their jobs involuntarily, and they're going to get hurt at the polls, and thus they are doing this, which totally undermines the argument that it's a way to improve implementation. This is a way to do non-implementation.
So the argument has to be this is a political move. It's not a move to improve the law for the good of the folks. There, the Supreme Court ruling falls apart. So just a little message to those who hate Obamacare. That's where you should be. Not the other, that's a loser. Now, we're going to hold Charles over against his will. You can see he doesn't want to be held over, but we're holding him over.